God. God, I'll praise. All praise.
Shalom. Shalom.
Yes, sir. God. You can kick it off me.
All right. Bear with me.
God.
Give me a moment.
Shalom to everybody viewing. Never fold said call I will buy Shem Abshakan. Shalom, never fold. What was that? Shalom, Makiam Hezekiah in the building. Shalom, General. Shalom.
Right. Okay. I'm going to start it off with a proverb. So, this is Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 28. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 28. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. So in the ways of righteousness, there's life, and in the pathway thereof, there is no death. So you got to have a foundation and an understanding on what righteousness is. We got to go back to the law to see what righteousness is. So let me go ahead and grab that. Let's see what righteousness is. This is Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he hath commanded us. So the law, statutes, and commandments are our righteousness. And in that way, in the path of righteousness, in the path of obeying the Most High God, there's life and no death. Why is that? This is Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. So we're supposed to choose life. We're supposed to follow our righteousness and follow the Most High God's righteousness, which is faith. But learning and knowing that the way of righteousness is life, I ain't even gonna speak on that part. You got it. I ain't even gonna speak on that.
All right, God. So today the title says Joshua 1 and 8. So I'm gonna bring that out real quick, and then we'll open up and go into what we have planned for y'all. Joshua 1 and 8 says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. God. So the reason why I titled it Joshua 1 and 8, because Joshua 1 and 8 is a classic verse when you come into this truth. So today we're going to go over a law, maybe two, and it's just something for you to meditate on throughout your day, or some insight on a law that you might not even have thought about, even though you know the law, right? So we want to make sure that that our righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Pharisees. We want to make sure that we are doctors in the law, because ultimately the law is what keeps you on the straight and narrow path. No matter when you have good days, bad days, if you keep in the law, you know the law, you can never go too far away, right? So I want to kick it off. I want to grab one more precept. I'm going to open up though. First and foremost, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. So like I said, tonight, usually we do lessons at night. Today we're going to go over a law, maybe two, maybe three, but definitely one. And we're just going to, meditate on it. We're going to get in there a little bit, talk about it. And these things is what's going to be your security, knowing the law, knowing that you're not too far off. So let me grab that in Isaiah real quick. And could you go to Leviticus?
Mhm.
I'm going to probably pull it up on my screen too, but I want to grab this in Isaiah. A faithful precept that has never let us down. Isaiah 33 and 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of your times. And when all hell is breaking loose, you want to be stable because it's going to be chaos. It's going to be confusion. And the only peace and stability that you're going to have is these law, statutes, commandments, and your faith. So you want to make sure that your doctrine is sound. You want to make sure that there's no gaps, no bubbles, no leaks, no schisms. You want it to be simple and plain. And what's simple and plain? The law. It's black and white. You can do this. You can't do this. You can do this, but you can't do this. Black and white, simple. So today we're going to dive into it. Let's go to Leviticus. And this is important
Got a
because...
precept.
Okay, Con, bring it out.
Con. This is Wisdom of Solomon 16 and verse 5. For when the horrible fierceness of beasts came upon these, and they perished without this, they perished with the stings of crooked serpents. Thy wrath endured not forever, but they were troubled for a small season, that they might be admonished, having a sign of salvation, to put them in remembrance of the commandment of thy law. So this is kind of what we know. We're trying to put this in remembrance of the Most High God's law. I'm trying to tell you to, I keep some laws based off just the habit of it, and I forget it's a law. Like when you've been in the truth, it kind of get like that. You just keep it off a habit and forget it's a law. But you may need to remember it one time. You may need to remember, like when all hell was breaking loose in the wilderness, the Most High God put the serpent there. Why? To put us in remembrance of his laws, to put us in the remembrance of his law, commandments. While all hell is breaking loose today, we need to what? Put us in remembrance of his law. Same thing Christ came back for. Christ is that brass serpent or that bronze serpent. To what? Put us in remembrance of the Most High God's law. What it's actually going into. The spirit behind it. What is it really talking about? What does it mean when it says this? What does it mean when it says that? Can we do this? Can we do that? Just like we read, we got to go into the ways of righteousness, because there is no death in the path of righteousness, only life.
Hey,
so this is what we're here for. Go ahead.
Name me one single person who got in trouble for keeping the law. It's not in there. But now you have people teaching against the law, saying you're going to get in trouble if you keep the law. But it's not in the Bible, though. So this is why we got to go through these things and touch on these things. Can you give me Sirach 33:3? I think this is one of your favorite ones, too. And then we can jump into it.
This is Sirach chapter 33 and verse 3. A man of understanding trusteth in the law.
He what?
And the law is... A man of understanding trusteth in the law, and the law is faithful unto him as an oracle.
Hey, a man of understanding, he's going to trust in the law. Why? Because the law is good. Hey, the law is perfect. It is what it is. What you got? There's more on it.
1 Peter 4 and 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God.
As the what?
Man minister, if any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do so. Let him do it as the ability of which God giveth, that God in all things may be glorified through Yahushua Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So if any man is to speak, let him speak the oracles of God. And we just read what the oracles of God are. The laws, man. Back on you.
Kind. So we at Leviticus, a classic chapter, dietary law. But I never see anybody kind of go in detail about it. And today it's not our goal to go over this whole chapter, of course, in great detail. This is more so a quick introduction to something very basic, and it's more so up to you to go study it more if you're not familiar with it. So I'm gonna kick off the beginning, and what I'm more so gonna be focusing on is verse 3. So maybe a little bit lower. We might go down to 7, maybe, but that's where my mind, that's where my spirit is at, but it could change. So Leviticus 11 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. So he's going to let you know exactly which beast you can eat that are on the earth. Easy. It says, Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. So it looks like you got to have two things. The animal has to have two things for us to be able to eat it. Now, if you never seen what part of the hoof look like, let's look at it. Let's see. Part. This is what the Bible means when it says part of the hoof. You can see how the hoof is kind of parted. Simple. These two
Yeah.
pictures alone is simple, right? And we're going to go in more detail about it. So part of the hoof, cloven footed, is the same exact thing. And you'll see it mentioned in the Bible as cloven footed. Right. So we're going to get into it. This is a good one right here. I like this one. It's easily to be seen. Okay, so let's go back to Leviticus. So the first thing it has to part the hoof. It has to be cloven footed. Then it says it has to chew the cud. What does chew with the cud mean? Let's find out. Let's see what that's talking about. God. Chewing the cud. It says further chew partly digested food, and that's perfect. I actually want to get this word real quick. Regurgitate. So this goes into chewing the cud. So long story short, so we don't get lost in the sauce, chewing the cud is basically an animal that digested his food properly to a good degree properly. That's chewing a cud. But if you want more information on it, I'm gonna give it to you right now. Regurgitate is part of chewing a cud. What regurgitate is, it means to bring swallowed food up again to the mouth. So one of the things that an animal would do, it'll actually regurgitate or bring the food back up from the first part of the stomach, which is the rumen, and it'll bring it back through the esophagus, and they'll chew it back up in smaller, finer pieces, and then they'll swallow it again, and it'll go to the next section of their stomach. That's what an animal does when it chews the cud. Um, you got anything you want to add to that, or is that you feel like that's sufficient?
Let me see.
Because I could pull up a little picture, no, that's not what I want. I want to pull up this picture of chewing a cud. So check this out. So it'll go to the esophagus, it'll go to the rumen, and you can actually see the little lines. It'll go to the rumen, part of your stomach, it'll go back up, then it'll come back down, and it'll go to the other part of the stomach. That's what chewing the cud means, you know. And the Lord's so cold.
Definitely. It's kind of like whenever you see everybody has seen a cow. When you see a cow, it's like they damn near chewing forever. They're always chewing and eating on something.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit there eating, 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 eating. eating. And they swallow it, regurgitate it back up, it'll come back up, eating, because the Most High gave them a bodily function to where they can clean and actually process the foods that they are eating. Plus, a cow doesn't just eat any damn thing, like a pig does. A pig can just eat it and it goes out the drought, But go ahead, Doc.
All right. So, long story short, it's 2 requirements. If you don't remember anything else today, remember this, because all of that stuff could be kind of confusing. We put up words you've never seen before: regurgitate, rumming, and chewing the cud, and cloven footed. 2 things you need to know. The 2 things you need to know, because you're going to need this. I already said wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of your times. If you out there in Jacob's trouble and you don't know what's clean and unclean, it's going to get sketchy. It's going to get sticky. Like, I don't even know if I can eat this. Well, you should have been studious. You should have learned. And this is the perfect time to learn it. Hey, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So the 2 things it needs to have, it has to be cloven footed. It has to have that that split in its toes, and it has to chew the cud. If you don't know what kind of animals chew the cud, let me show you real quick. What type of beast chew the cud? And it's going to give you the main animals you see in the Bible. You got cattle, deer, sheep, goats, antelope are some examples of animals that chew their cud. When cud chewing animals eat their food, some of the food is stored in a special pouch within the stomach, which is the rumen, and later regurgitates the food stored or the stored food of cud and begins to chew it again. Perfectly said. This is what what you got.
Was you gonna touch that? Touch that if you was gonna touch that.
Kind. So the main part is cattle, deer, sheep, goats, antelope. Those are the kind of animals that you'd be able those are the kind of beast, the 4-footed beast that you'd be able to eat. That's on you.
I got this pulled up. It says, pigs cheweth not the cud, because they possess simple guts, unable to digest cellulose. What does it mean when they have simple guts? They have a simple stomach. I looked up how many stomachs does a cow have. A cow has 4 stomachs. They have a complex stomach system in how they eat and digest food, whereas a pig only has 1 stomach. Just kind of goes in and it goes out. So that's kind of what's going into in terms of chewing the cud. Because when you look at a pig, I believe a pig's foot is cloven footed. Am I
It is.
wrong? Or yeah? So a pig's foot is cloven footed, but it doesn't chew the cud. It just eats whatever, and it eats, and then it doesn't regurgitate nothing. It just goes out. Go ahead, Doc.
Right. That's why the pig is literally a trash can for the earth. It's a trash can. And it's beautiful that the Lord created created a beast like that. It's unclean to us and we can't eat it, but it's still beautiful. It's a beautiful creation of his. Just like the other nations. They're unclean to us. They can never compare to us, but it's still beautiful that he made that for us. Everything has a purpose.
I got a precept.
Okay, God.
This is Ecclesiastes 1:8. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. So everything has a purpose. These unclean animals have purposes. A camel, we can't eat a camel, but it's good for traveling. I don't think we can eat a damn horse. It's good for traveling. Pigs, we can't eat pigs. It's good for getting out waste out of your farm. Whereas clean animals, they even have a purpose. Their purpose is not just to be eaten, they have purposes as well. Like the sheep. Sheeps are good for clothing. Let me see if I can find that, because that's a precept on that.
God. Get that young wool.
For real. I think it was like going into had her good for raiment. I gotta look at my Bible real quick.
Hey, so I was actually, I don't know how I got here the other day, but I was looking at wool and linen, cotton. Like it's you got natural fabrics like wool, linen, cotton, silk. Those are natural fabrics. Then you got man-made fabrics like polyester, polyester, however you say it. Like you actually got man-made fabrics, but you know, that's just something I never really even thought about. You know, it's like, dang, they out there.
Kind, I think you was in there because we was looking up woolen and linen, the
Mm,
law.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Kind, I can't find it right now, but
What
through
was?
this, I have to find it. How sheep was given for clothing, kind of.
Um,
Was it sheep or lamb? It was one of them.
I remember you showing me. It's in Proverbs, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in Proverbs.
Uh,
Let me just do a quick Google search.
clothing, yeah. Because now I want that.
Also
Found it.
clams. Clams are unclean to us, but they do have a purpose. What is their purpose? Their purpose is to filter water. You know, they get rid of waste. That's like bottom feeders, like catfish. They get rid of a lot of waste. We're not supposed to eat that waste. These other nations, they can eat that waste. We're not supposed to eat that waste though.
Kind of, I got the
But
precept.
yeah, look, you found it?
Yeah.
Dang, all right, go ahead.
Proverbs 27 and 26. It says, the lambs are for thy clothing, and the
There we go.
goats are the price of the field. Con. Period.
It's saying what it's saying. What was that again?
Proverbs
I see it.
27 and
27,
26.
20. I'm marked it up in my other Bible. All right, kind. But plain as day right there. Lambs are given for clothing. They're given for fabrics like this that we can use. Everything has a purpose to it. And some clean animals, or all clean animals, we can eat them. We can partake in that as well. If we don't like the flavor of it, we can use them for another purpose. That's how perfect the Most High God made things. Now these unclean animals, we're not supposed to partake in them because they're supposed to get rid of certain waste, or they have certain things that's just not good about them. But go ahead.
God, all animals are not meant for consumption.
I,
Verse 3, we already touched on that. The two requirements is cloven footed and chewing the cud. It says, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud. So it's actually just because the animal chews the cud does not necessarily mean it's clean. And here's why. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divideth the hoof, as the camel, which Aharon already touched on. But it's going to tell you why. Because he cheweth, because he cheweth the cud, but he divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. So the camel, he chews the cud, he digests his food properly, but he is not cloven footed, right? So he's unclean to us. We cannot eat a camel. Does that mean we can't use a camel? No. Does that mean we can't get on a camel's back? No. It's just saying you cannot eat it. And you cannot touch its dead body, its carcass. But you can still use it while it's alive. That's what it was made for. The hot deserts, we all understand how camels can hold water in they what's them thing, the ridges in their back. I can't remember the precise term.
I call it a sack.
A sack back, back sack.
Right.
Verse 5. It says, in the coney, if you're not familiar with a coney, I guess I can pull up a quick picture. Yeah, that works. This is what a coney looks like. You kind of see it. Look like a big rat or whatever you want to call it. It got some many names. Some people call it coney. Some people call it a what is that called?
Hyrax.
Hyrax. Yeah, it's another one too. But anyways, hey, the conies are actually wise. It says like a guinea pig relative to the rabbit. Yeah, but it's actually precepts on the coney, how they smart and wise, and they put they Can you grab that for me, Ak, since we here? How often do we get to talk about this?
Right.
Got precepts on it and never get to use it. You're gonna get the one in Proverbs, yeah?
If I can find it.
Okay. Isn't it like 30?
I think it's 31 or 30. So I can.
It's 30 and 26. And I'm gonna get this one in Psalms.
God. This is Proverbs chapter 30 and 26. It says, the conies are but a feeble folk, yet they make their houses in the rocks. They make their houses in the rocks. And when you go into the animals, you actually see that they do build their houses and stuff like that on rocks. But the context of this whole chapter 30, is going into how things are small but wise, and how things are little but wonderful. Like verse 18, Proverbs 30 and 18. There be three things which are too wonderful for me, yea, four which I know not. The way of an eagle in the air, or the way of a serpent upon a rock. Like, it's going to that. But when it's talking about the coney, it says, verse 24, there be four things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies are but a feeble folk, yet their houses are in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet go forth all of them by bands. The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in king's palaces. So it's just going into things that are few and small and little, but they're exceeding wise. You may think these things to be nothing, but yet they're in king's palaces. You may think these things to be nothing, but yet they build a house better than man can. But it's on you.
Kind, real quick. Psalms 104 and 18. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. And that's a refuge is like a safe place you would go. And the conies understand, even though they're small, they feeble, they're not strong in might, but the Most High God gave them wisdom or enough instinct to to dwell in safety. They know where their safety is. Hey, you ever see they know them rocks inside and out. They can pop up over here. They got tunnels underneath here, know how to get over here. They can get away from danger. Eagles, hawks, they can pick these things up, but when they in them rocks, that's where their strength are. And that's kind of synonymous for our people, because we dwell in the hill country. We the ones who dwelt in that kind of place too. When you dwell on hills and rocks, it's you have a strategic advantage when it comes to fighting. But that's a different story for a different day. So I'm gonna go back to Leviticus.
I wanted to touch on something real quick.
Okay, in your world.
Animals are more in tune with the Most High and His commandments than men are. On a spiritual level, they're more in order. They're more in tune. It's nothing out of harmony when it comes to animals. When you look at wolves and wolves packs, they're in order. When you look at these animals, they're in order. The ant, he said, go look at the ant. It's not a sluggard. All sheep obey what? The shepherd. They're in order. Everything is in order. But I want to bring this Isaiah 1 and 3 out. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider. We actually do have to look at these animals and look at these creations that the Most High God has put in front of us to get a insight on wisdom and to get an insight on order and how things are supposed to go. Like we said, everything has a purpose, whether a clean or an unclean animal. It has a purpose. But it's on you, Ike.
I'm gonna throw one more on it. So if anybody is familiar with Sirach chapter 39, it's a classic chapter that we go to show that animals obey the Most High God. So this is Sirach 39 and verse 30. And before I'm kind of jumping to the point, it's kind of talking about how there's certain things that's created for vengeance on the wicked. So I'm going to jump to verse 30, 39 and 30. It says, teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. So the Most High God will use wild beasts, scorpions, serpents to punish the wicked. 100%. 31 says, they shall rejoice in his commandment. These
Can y'all hear me, or did my heart just lag out? Comment a 1 or something if y'all can hear me. God, the water never fold. I don't know what happened to my heart. Let me see.
I'm here.
There you go. There you go.
So what happened was my MacBook broke. Salakia.
We still signed in, right? It ain't gonna lag us out like it did last time, right?
No, we still good.
Okay, kind.
From what I know, we still good.
All right, time.
Man, I can barely hear you though. So what I was going into was Sirach, and I was just showing everybody how the animals. It says, they shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. And how Aharon said, these animals are in order. They don't go against what the Most High God say. The only people who go against what the Most High God say is us, his people. The one he gave everything to. The people he gave everything to. You know? So we got to figure out how to get this thing right. You know, the whole reason we in this position is because we didn't keep the commandments. And now you have people saying, you don't got to keep the commandments. That doesn't make logical sense. If we
Right.
got in trouble for not keeping the commandments, why would he all of a sudden change them like, yeah, it's good. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to keep them no more. You know, just have faith. No, you got to understand that faith has always been here in the beginning. Why do you think Abraham is so well known? He was Abraham the faithful. But Abraham kept the commandments. He had works. All of our forefathers, all of the righteous forefathers who went hard for the Most High God, like the Noahs, the Abrahams, the Isaac, the Jacobs, the Davids, the Saul, everyone who Elijah, Elisha, Samuel, all of the ones who was well known in this book had faith. Faith is not some new thing. Faith has been here from the beginning. The commandments been here from the beginning. And it doesn't make sense for us to all of a sudden be like, yeah, we don't have to keep the commandments. The reason why you think we don't have to keep the commandments is because people twist and distort one section of the Bible, which is Paul's letters. That's the only reason why. Go anywhere else in the Bible, and it does
Right.
not, it doesn't say that. Paul's not even saying that. It's just people have a hard time understanding Paul. A lot of the reason come from you jump into Paul before you are rooted and grounded in the law or in the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and then you read Paul, and he got you kind of, because Paul is not easy to understand. He speaks so eloquently, it'll sound like he's saying this, but he really meant this. So my advice is to just make sure you're rooted and grounded in the law, statute, commandments, and take your time with Paul, because the elders are doing a beautiful job of edifying on what Paul is really trying to say. But Paul is set up in the Bible on purpose to prove people, to see if they are going to keep the law, statutes, and commandments or not. The Lord already told you that's what he did, because that's what he did when he gave us the land of Canaan. He said, I need you to utterly, I'm going to grab this in Deuteronomy 20. Watch this.
While you grabbing that, hey, Yashar, ask your question, and if we able to answer it, we'll answer it. Go ahead.
God, hey, I want to grab my AirPods because I can barely hear you. I know exactly where they at. So give me like 10 seconds and I'll be right back. Okay.
We don't got an ought against Paul. We don't have nothing against Paul. He even told you he believes everything that was written in the law and in the prophets, so on and so forth. But I do want to grab this. 2 Peter 3:16. Also, this is going into Paul. You can read the verse above and just tell you about Paul. 2 Peter 3:16, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of things in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest. When you go into that word, it means wrestle and a fight. Rest, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destruction. So you will sit there and you'll go into Paul without reading anything else in the Bible. That's what we were taught. That's how we grew up. That's what we were learned. They actually even have Bibles where it's just Psalms and New Testament, literally. And if Paul, I can go to something right now where Paul is quoting something from the Old Testament. If you do not have the other books, you won't be able to understand what Paul's going into, or you won't even be able to find what he's quoted. Yehuda. So like if I mispronounce that, it says how many laws are still in effect today. The laws that are still in effect today are the laws that we can keep. Like we have you got the Aaronite priesthood and you got the Levitical priesthood. Some of those laws, or a lot of those laws, is dealing with the temple. We don't have a physical temple up, so we can't keep those laws. Me personally, I haven't counted all the laws. There's around 613. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but I haven't counted all of those laws, so I wouldn't be able to give you an exact number. You would just have to go through and read the law and actually figure out which law can you keep. I'm not saying which law do you want to keep. I'm saying which law can you physically keep. There's a law that we have to wear fringes. I can keep that. There's a law we're not supposed to mix wool and linen. I can keep that. There's a law that I'm not supposed to chop down a tree that bears fruit. I can keep that. You know, you got a point, Warren?
Yeah. And I kind of want to piggyback off what you said and elaborate on it just a little bit more. From what I know, I am not a Levite. As we all know, certain laws was strictly given to the Levites, to the sons of Aaron. So when people say it's 613 commandments, let's just say it's 613 commandments. That doesn't mean all 613 applies to me because I'm not a Levite. So the Levitical laws and the priesthood duties and the judgments of a judge, they don't apply to me because I'm not a judge. I'm not a Levite. The Nazirite laws, they don't apply to me because I haven't taken a Nazirite vow. What laws that apply to women? I'm not a woman, so I don't necessarily have to keep the laws that are strictly for women. Back to you.
There's a law going into if a man has two wives. A man that's a virgin, that law isn't applicable unto him. Yehuda said, from my account, it's just over 300. Khan, you a studious brother, all praises. You know, I'm glad you went through there and did the work and actually studied and got through there and found out what was going on, brother. All praises. Now, if I cannot keep the law of having two wives because I only have one, does that mean I'm in sin? No. No. People just got to get logical and actually think and see what's actually going on. Go ahead,
The word is practical.
There we go.
Practical. The Lord is practical. Practical. Just use your head a little bit, be around for a little bit, and you'll see that sometimes it's kind of misleading and discouraging when you're teaching somebody like, yeah, 613 laws. Like, geez, that's a lot of laws, you know? So I don't like going about it that way. I'm like, yeah, you got to keep 600 laws. Da, 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 da. You know, it's like, it's not really going to help them come into the truth. Like, one of the precepts the captain to pull out is like, what is it, Acts 15. And I like this precept because it show you something important. Let's see. It is 15. I'm trying to see where I want to start. Wherefore my sin is every trouble not them. Okay, so in Acts 15, I'm gonna start at verse 19. But before I do, I want to make a disclaimer. Just because you see Gentile does not mean it's a heathen. It's really talking about, in this particular scenario, it's really talking about our people. So 15 and 19, it says, Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. So you had Israelites who was turning to the Most High God, and they was starting to believe on Him again, starting to try to get come into the faith and keep the commandments. And He said, we're not going to trouble them with too much. We're not going to put too much on their shoulders. We're not going to come at them like, keep all 613 laws, statute, commandments, ready, set, go. That's too much for them. That's a burden. I don't know how to do that. It's kind of going to make me deter from the faith. So watch what they said. Verse 20, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols. So stay away from idolatry and from fornication and from things strangled and from blood. And this is a beautiful precept to show you that when someone's coming into the truth, you don't want to give them too much all at once. Give them the things that's necessary for them at that time, because that's what the Lord did to you. He didn't give you nobody came into the truth and was like 613 commandments and literally read all of them and kept all of them all at once. That's not practical. So what we are going to do is give you the main things that you need to know. Hey, look, no fornication. You can't be sleeping around. Make sure you're not putting anything before the Most High God. Keep the Sabbath day. Let's start there. That's a good starter pack. Here goes some fringes. Let's start right here. Calm down. Let's build our way up there. That's what it's about, right? So it's on you, King.
Disclaimer. He's saying for a brother or sister that's coming into the truth. Now, if you niggas been in the truth for 5 years, you need to be keeping the laws that you can keep. Like I said, not the laws you don't you don't feel like you can keep. No, if you can keep it, keep it. Keep all the laws that are applicable. He's talking about the ones, even in Acts, he's mentioning the ones that's just now coming into the faith. Because look at verse 21, Acts 15:21. For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him. What is it going into? Every city, they have synagogues set up and they're teaching Moses. What do they mean when they're teaching Moses? They're teaching the law of Moses, which is the law of God. They start out with these and they're going to go in the synagogue and see what else they need to be building upon. They're going to see what other laws they actually need to keep. Let me finish this out. For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath. Every Sabbath. So Paul is saying he's giving these certain laws to the Gentiles to keep. Gentiles as being our people to keep. And that's what you need to start out with. You need to start out with the ones that avoid death.
Right.
Ones that can,
no
get
kill,
you killed
no steal.
first off.
Right.
Yeah. So later on, they're going to go in the synagogue and hear the law of Moses. And you can find out the law of Moses is the law of God by going to Nehemiah 1. It'll tell you about that. But go ahead, Ira.
Kind. So, Lord willing, that answered his question. We was talking about Leviticus, the two things that's required. Some people might not have understood what chewing the cud was. Some people might not have understood what cloven foot meant. So really, we were supposed to be doing a 15, 20-minute lesson, but the Spirit had us go somewhere else. Is there any other questions that we can answer?
Lowland Akumeni said, who are the mixed multitude that came out of Egypt? From my understanding, brother, the mixed multitude that came with us out of Egypt were, of course, Egyptians and people that was cleaving onto Egypt during that time. It was the mixed multitude that came out with us. I don't think it really just 100% say what nation it was. Numbers 11:4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? So,
Yeah. Yep. So, is that it?
Yashar asked, when was our tabernacles? Our tabernacles was what, September?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the date. Was it like the 21st through the 28th?
something around there.
All
Somewhere
right.
around there.
Yeah. To be 100% honest, I'm actually trying to strengthen my skills when it comes to time and biblical time, months, days, years, um, so forth and so on. So that's the beautiful part of being with a camp and parts that I'm liking. I can kind of lean on the brother, lean on the captain, lean on my officer, other soldiers to kind of be like, hey, this is kind of how other camps is doing it, learn from other brothers. Um, hey, man, it's a beautiful struggle. I'm not saying that we got everything figured out perfectly to a T because we don't. So that's a disclaimer. You might have kept yours differently, but that was when we kept ours. Ain't no shame in that. Ain't no shame in that. If a brother say he got it all, got the whole truth, then we need to talk.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
want
be
to
with him.
talk.
I'm trying to be with him, right? If he
I don't
perfect,
want
he
if a,
gotta be like the son of God.
if a brother
Uh,
come to me and say he got the whole truth,
oh yeah.
I'm gonna just be like Khan and just dap him up and depart.
It
I
says
ain't gonna
talk that
lie.
much with a fool, right?
Right.
Um, so
Lowland,
Lolan,
Aquamini, yeah.
oh, he said, thank you. What was it? Did you know of the command to wave the palm? No. Do you know about the Ahran?
Where do you see that at?
Above Lolan, where it says thank you. It's right underneath
Uh,
Tabernacles. He said, did you? It dropped the precept, Yashar, so I can kind of look into it. Baba
kind of
Kashab.
shark, kind of cold in the laws. That's what it looked like.
All right,
I
I
know
need to
about a
get with him.
wave offering.
I
Really,
know about the wave offering too, a little bit.
palm. How do you spell palm? Palm.
Yeah, that's how he spelled it. So until you get back with us, I'm gonna read the next comment. It says, "From Egypt to Israel, do you have other camps in other cities? We got um, Sons
We
of
got
Jacob,
sons of
Tulsa,
Jacob.
and Sons of Jacob, OKC. But primarily, um, yeah, that's basically it.
What city you in from Egypt to Israel? I can probably direct you to a good camp.
Right.
Emmanuel Williams, can you explain the virgin birth and its misinterpreted? Well, a lot of that virgin birth was taught before King James had actually what's the name translated the Bible. So they were already indoctrinated under that. So what you have to do is you have to go into the blue letter, you have to go into the Greek, and you have to understand the customs of our marital system and our ceremony, which is in Deuteronomy. You have to understand that. You also have to understand the Greek and what it was going into. But through prophecy and through the rest of the Bible, we see him coming through the seed of David. So that would be either
Literally.
a contradiction or something. Go ahead.
It'd be God changed his mind, and it's a contradiction, period. But this is the reason why we say be rooted and grounded in the scriptures first before you go to the New Testament and before you go into Paul's letters. Because if you're not stable, you're going to destroy yourself through these doctrines. If you don't understand how things was kept in the scriptures in the Old Testament, things is going to look like they changed. But you got to understand, you got to be circumspect and understand how these things came about. But long story short, we subscribe 100% that he was born through Mary. It wasn't no virgin birth.
Can
And
you
Joseph
grab me
is the
John?
dad.
Can
What
you
you
grab
want?
me John 7:42?
Definitely. John chapter 7, verse 42 says, have not the scriptures said that Christ cometh of the seed of David and out of the town of Bethlehem where David was? That's how I
Now, when you go into the Greek, that word for seed is sperma, which is going into semen and sperm. Don't want to get, as is gross, but it is what it is. He would come from David. There's a plethora of scriptures that go into that,
Here's
So don't get stumbled on a simple stumbling block that's in Matthew, which a lot of our elders can break down exquisitely.
right.
It's just I'm not learned and able to break it down exquisitely like that. I can break it down, but it's not going to be to the T, whereas the elders can, Go ahead.
So like, yeah. Okay, so here's another good point. It says sperm had come through a seed. It doesn't make sense for it to be a virgin birth strictly when you keep it in context with the chapter. It gives you the whole lineage. Son to son to son to son of who, son of him, son of who, son of him, son of him. And then all of a sudden you got a virgin birth. That doesn't line up with the rest of the chapter or the Bible. But
with the rest of the context.
They just don't. So that's one of them doctrines I would try and stay away from. And the best way I would combat that, we can go through the precepts, but my main thing is this is the importance of reading the Old Testament. Shalom, Donnie Stone, shalom. That brother like a part of the camp every time I see him, man.
Right.
Right, but we ain't got. Oh, he dropped a precept too in Leviticus 23. I'm gonna check that out sometime today. Maybe right now. 23 and 40.
Right now.
It says, and he shall take you on the first day of the boughs of the godly tree, branches of palm trees, billows of the bread, and you shall rejoice before the Lord some days. I've never seen this before, honestly. All right, the Spirit is mighty. What you got?
From Egypt to Israel said, does your camp believe in free will? Now, I'm going to give you a plain answer. No, our camp does not believe in free will. Why? I don't even really just got to get into the Bible to explain it. I can just explain it through logic, I wasn't able to choose my father nor my mother. I wasn't able to choose my nationality. That's not free will. Can a person's will be stronger than the Most High God's will? No. So that's not free will. If the Most High God wants you to do this or do that, you're going to do this or do that. Example A, Jonah. He didn't want to go to Nineveh. Guess what? He went to Nineveh. Just plainly, just going through it. It is what it is.
God.
From Egypt to Israel, does your camp believe Yahweh Shah was Adam regenerated? Khan, can you give me 1 Corinthians 15:45? Tribe of Israel is the lineage in Luke's, and is the lineage in Luke Mary's lineage.
15:45. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Bear with me. He said, "Is the lineage in Luke Mary's lineage?" I don't believe so. I don't think I've seen anybody prove it was Mary's lineage. But I mean, if you can, that's cool. But I haven't seen it. Go ahead, Ak. Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't hear nothing. Let me back out.
Bear with my brother. Bear with him real quick. Going into that free will, I believe that's the general. He dropped a precept, Proverbs 19:21. It says, "There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord shall stand." So there's many thoughts and there's many imaginations that goeth through a man. He wants to do this, he wants to do this, or I want to do this and I want to do that. But at the end of the day, it's the Most High God's decision. That's the one that's going to prevail. Like I said, we're waiting for my brother. Can you hear me?
Bro, I can, but it's in slow-mo. Say something again.
Bro, it's in slow motion.
Bro, why say notice like this though? Oh my goodness.
This stuff is bugging out. All right, well, I grab the First Corinthians. While he trying to figure out this this technical difficulty, whatever it's called. 1 Corinthians 14:45. This is the easiest way to explain it, easiest way to see it through the precepts. And it's so it is written. It's like I'm gonna start at 1 Corinthians 15:44. It says, "It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, because we know that the breath of life entered into Adam. And the second man, the last man, Adam, was made a quickening spirit. We see that through Yahushua. Howbeit, that was not the first, which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward, that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy, and the second man is of the Lord from heaven. As is the earthy, such are also the earthy. I'll skip my point. The first man is of the earth, earthy, and the second man is the Lord from heaven. We know who our Lord is. We know who our head is. That is Yahushua Mashiach.
I'm back. Where we at?
Bro, your stuff is
It was moving in slow. It said, "Can you hear me?" I was like, "Oh man,
bro, yours is bugging out."
for real." It sounded bad on your end.
Is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit separate beings from Emmanuel Williams? Yes, they are separate, but they are one. If you can understand what the meaning of one means. Meaning one means we agree. Me and my wife are one because we agree. Me and my wife are one because we agree. Yahushua, the Holy Spirit, the Most High, they agree. Does that mean that there are three people that are actually one person? No, that is not. No, that's not scriptural. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's an obvious distinction betwixt the all three of them. 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3. Not 1 + 1 + 1 equals 1. It's not logical. That's not practical. We don't see that in the scriptures.
Can. Beautifully said. What else we got?
Bro, I can't understand you. You're going slow motion.
What? Are you for real?
Yeah. I heard you say, "Are you for real?" Yes.
All right, I'm gonna leave.
Let me see. Because I got it on the YouTube right here. Let me see if they can hear it like that. Okay, he kind of left. All right. Will the 2/3 be regeneration? Donnie Stone. Will the 2/3 be regenerated in the kingdom of heaven? Say something more.
Something. They saying I'm clean. I can hear you now. Dang.
I sound slow motion to you? Do I?
No, you're
I'm
good.
Put a 2 if my heart sounds slow motion. Because it could just be on me. Put a 2 if my heart sounds slow motion. Put a 1 if he sounds good. Baba Kasha. Because if he sounds good to y'all, then that's all that matter. 1 if he sounds good. 2 if he's in slow motion. Okay, Khan. Everybody say he's good. All right, you good. So you can speak to them. My answer to that question, me personally, I do believe so, but you have to go through the precepts. That's a more meaty subject. So you can answer it, Mahar.
Briefly, and we're not gonna go into great detail because we just officers. We're not allowed to be too deep. But the promises, the kingdom was predicated. The kingdom was predicated off of promises, and the promise was to all Israel, not to just a portion. So that's kind of our stance on it.
God, so I'm gonna be a little late in hearing you because, like I said, on my end, it is you're laggy. But
try and leave and come back.
see what this is.
I run, try and leave and come back.
I don't know what you said. If you said something to me, I'm not gonna lie.
Leave, come back.
Hold on, I gotta look at it on YouTube. Oh, leave and come back. All right, con.
That's a pretty good precept. That's a pretty good precept. The water, Donnie Stone for the help. Rise Israel said, what's your understanding of the full moon? Do you celebrate, I'm guessing you asked a new moon. Do you brothers celebrate the dark moon or the full moon? We celebrate the dark moon. What? Let's move it slow.
You slow as hell.
Bro, it's almost time for work, so sheesh. What's your understanding of the full moon? Do you better celebrate the dark moon or the full moon? We actually celebrate the dark moon, to answer your question. That's a precept I like in Sirach. It says a decrease to her perfection. It's been a minute since I needed it though.
You going to the one where it says she increaseth or whatever?
Yeah, but I don't know it by
There
heart.
you go.
You think you can find it? God, so I was actually in Sirach 43 looking for it. So it says, from the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. So the cycle of the moon, from a dark moon, you got a waning crescent, and it's like a C. And as it gets bigger, it reaches the first quarter, which is the first half of the moon. Then you got a waxing gibbous. Then you got a full moon. And that takes a total of 15 days. Then it decreases to the last quarter. Then it decreases, and that's called when it's decreasing, it's a waning. When it's increasing, it's a waxing. But after it decreases to a waning gibbous, and then a waning crescent, then it decreases in imperfection and becomes a new moon, a dark moon. Then it starts over again, increases all the way to a bright full moon. Then it decreases back to her perfection, being a dark moon. So that's how we keep ours, to answer Rise Israel. Let's see. From Egypt to Israel, do you blow a trumpet on the full moon? Yes, we do. And you put a perfect precept. God, you want to blow them on all the feast days. So yeah, I know Aharon is handling something. Lord willing, we can do more laid back sessions like this. Maybe go over a law or two, sit back and kind of just vibe, answer questions, break bread. I actually learned something today too. So the water, what was it? Leviticus 23 and 40. Just proving each other. I'm sharpening my sword. Rise Israel helped me do that. So the water for everybody that tuned in. Aharon, I know I'm moving slow and it's vexing your spirit, Salakia, bro. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it. Allah, salutations to my brothers. Try your best. I'm
No, you good.
moving good. Let's go.
I'm listening on the what's the name?
Okay. I'll praise it. You got anything? Because I was gonna close this bad boy up. If you want to rock out a little bit longer, we got probably I probably can do another.
If I want to,
I could probably do another 20 minutes if you want. Or we can wrap it up. It's up to you.
If it ain't no more questions, then we can close out. Like I said, if y'all have any questions, we'll answer it appropriately according to our knowledge. We're not finna sit here and profess knowledge we don't got. We're not finna touch on nothing that we don't understand fully. So, if you just have a question, you can ask it. But if there are no more questions, then we can close out.
Rise Israel said, "Isn't the full moon the new moon, though?" What we subscribe to is no. If you can prove it, or you got scriptures or reasoning behind it, drop it in the chat, and we'll meditate on it. We'll see how it goes. So, can other nations find salvation through cleaving, or are they doomed? They're not doomed. They're just not destined to be the leaders of the new world. But a lot of them is gonna die, just like our own people.
I got a precept for Emmanuel Williams' question. If I cut you off, I'm for real, Salakia. Salakia. Emmanuel Williams, so can other nations find salvation through cleaving, or are they doomed? They don't really get a salvation as in the aspect of our salvation. This is Jeremiah 3:23. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. Truly in the Lord our God is the salvation of Israel. So when you understand the multitude of mountains is going in the nations, and the hills is going in the nations and other nations, their salvation isn't what our salvation would be. Their salvation, so-called salvation, would be saved from the second death to go into captivity. In a true essence, there is no salvation for them, if you want to be completely honest, but that's the answer for that.
Rise Israel said, "If the moon decreases in her perfection, it was full, right?" Yes, I understand that, but you got to understand the whole cycle of a moon phase. So, like I said, like we can go back and forth on that, but if we don't pull any other precepts on it, like we're not going to make any progress. It'll just be a ongoing tug of war. So it wouldn't be profitable for us to go back and forth. If you got precepts other than Sirach 43:7, drop them. If not, then we're just gonna keep pushing. From Egypt to Israel, the full moon, we can see. The new moon is usually dark. All right. Any other questions? Come on, Rise Israel, I'll do more research. Likewise, man. I'm pretty sure we'll see you in here again. So, get back to us when you do that. It'll be beneficial for me too. What else we got? I'm gonna pull out a proverb. We can pull out proverbs sometimes.
Okay. Salakia.
What you thinking?
Well, I guess we can wrap it up. If nobody got anything, thumbs up if you agree. Let me grab a precept. Let me grab a quick precept. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. The water for everybody tuning in, by the way. The water for everybody talking with us, communicating with us, asking us questions. We like dialoguing. Even we learn stuff from y'all. It's all good. We're not finna sit here and say we know everything. We don't know everything. We don't. Through the precepts, we get understanding. So the water for everybody tuning in. The water for everybody, chatting back with us. But this is 1 Corinthians 15:38. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Hold on, bear with me.
Can you hear me?
Brother asked, can you break down Sirach, or sister? I don't remember the name. Can you break down Sirach 31:16? I'll leave that to you, Mahar, because I know you like Sirach. I'll read it for you. It says, "Eat as it becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour. Note, lest thou be hated." And on my thing it says note. So that's
Really? It says, "Eat as it becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated." To me, it's just saying what it's saying. I could see how it could kind of be confusing, but the things that you eat is the things that's going to be set before you. That's not saying eat unclean things if that's where your mom was going. But you know, it ain't really nothing deep on there. I guess the last part could kind of be confusing. I think verse 17 kind of helps. It says, "And devour not, lest thou be hated. Leave off first for manners' sake, and be not insatiable, lest thou be offended." I think kind of this chapter goes into being like greedy. Like, of course, verse 17 kind of clears it up. You don't want to be, for manners' sake, like it says, if there's a plate of food, you don't want to be the first one who put they hand out. You kind of want to be dainty. You kind of want to be meek. Hey, before you grab seconds, you want to see if everybody had their first round. Because, if you don't have those kind of manners or that home training, then people are not going to like you. So that's all it's really going into. It's on you.
God, the water for breaking that down. I already got the closing precept. Lord willing, next time we on, we can have y'all brothers and sisters back again. Lord willing, somebody learned something. Lord willing, somebody was edified. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah. With that, I'm going to say Shalom, Mabarak, Mashpakah, Shalom.
Shalom.